Episode 236. My mother wants to kill me. It was him. Alan White. He was no shorter than Jake and looked slightly more bulkier and stronger than him. At this moment, he was wearing a military green, long-sleeved casual blazer, with a chic brooch on the left panel. Standing straight, he had dyed his curled hair into a fashionable brownish yellow. Getting out of the car, he greeted them with a polite and elegant smile. "Long time no see, Mr. Robinson. Mrs. Robinson? I didn't expect you to be here." Serena looked at him, his image and voice for those of a gentleman. But faintly, she was reminded of another man who was violent and rude. She was slightly dazed for a moment. Anna ran out from the inside, panting and looking at the man who had just come out of the car. She went forward and exclaimed, "Alan, my parents are quarreling again. Let's go in and talk to them." Alan looked a bit helpless. "Oh, what can we do about it? So tiring." "Let's go in now in case it becomes violent in a minute," Anna exclaimed to him with a sense of urgency. He shut the door and tossed his sunglasses to the car before he nodded to the couple. "Please excuse us." After that, he walked into the house with Anna. Although he was in a hurry, his pace was still perfect. This was the kind of good habit that had to be formed after many years of cultivation. Ordinary people could not pretend this kind of a persona. After Alan and Anna entered the house, shutting the door behind them, Jake slowly asked, "What happened?" Serena looked in his direction and shook her head gently. "Nothing. Just an illusion."
"What did you see?"
"Let's go back and I'll tell you later. I'm sleepy."
"All right."
Jake held her, and they sat in their car and soon went out of the south lane onto the main street. When they returned to the hotel, she took off her clothes and lay in bed. After thinking about it for a long time, she said, "Darling, I think..." Then she suddenly realized that Jake had disappeared. "Darling?" She got out of bed and walked out into the living room with bare feet. It was a sunny day. The golden sun was shining through the large floor-to-ceiling windows, warming up the room. Jake was sitting on the sofa and playing with the laptop that he had brought. On the large black screen, codes that she could not understand at all started to appear as his fingers moved fast on the keyboard. Serena wanted to scare him from behind. Standing on her toes, she snuck up carefully. Suddenly, she rushed forward. When her hands just touched his shoulder, the sound of glass being broken sounded at the same time. Boom! The TV in the living room exploded, making a dull sound. Serena was shocked, looking at the TV. Jake turned his head and saw in the corner of the cracked TV screen there was a smoking hole. That was a gunshot. Jake's heart leapt. He pushed Serena down, hugged her tight, and rolled sideways. Boom! A small hole was made on the back of the table. If it hit a body... Serena screamed and shuddered. He took a stool and used it as a shield, pulled her along and growled, "Follow me!" Fortunately, they were very close to the doorway. Jake covered her to the entrance and pressed the emergency button immediately. The alarm was suddenly sounded. He looked into the opposite side. It was a bright green window that obscured his sight. Nothing could be seen. Serena grabbed his clothes and desperately pulled him outside. "Go, go!" Jake turned and took her into his arms, quickly walking out.
"Don't be afraid. Everything's fine."
The hotel manager quickly rushed over. Seeing them like this, he immediately asked what had happened.
"Call the police."
"What?" The hotel manager was a little dumbstruck. "Sir, what happened?"
"Call the police! Do you hear me?"
Jake barked. Serena shuddered more in his arms. He turned to her and his voice became soft.
It's okay, it's okay.
Her hands were shaking a little. She suddenly looked up, looked into his eyes and sobbed. She wants to kill me, right? Is it Camilla? Does she want to kill me?
Don't think about it. If she wants to kill you, why wait until now?
He patted her back, whispering,
It's okay. Wait for the police to investigate.
A tall figure walked slowly into a rather chic cafe and sat down across a pretty woman. She asked absent-mindedly, "How did it go?"
Failed. That person's reaction was much faster than I expected.
Then what? If we are recognized by her or caught by those people, we will both die. The tall man chuckled.
Oh, my sweet, sweet fiancé. You were doubting my IQ and my skills.
Did you switch out the bullets?
Of course.
The tall man smiled gracefully, his voice extremely low, and even his lips were hardly moving.
There is a big man who is coming back from San Francisco with great wealth.
By the time Charlie arrived, Jake and Serena had already finished their statements and were protected. She was obviously frightened, not letting go of Jake's arm. She saw Charlie coming over and looked a bit absent-minded.
Are you okay?
Charlie approached her and asked in a low voice. Jake gently shook his head and looked at him with a complicated expression. "Where's Camilla?" Serena asked. "Where was she in the evening?" Charlie was dazed.
She has been at home since you left,
he said, and thought of something.
You think it was her? Impossible,
Charlie said resolutely with a firm look. Back in the day, she had the heart to leave a newborn baby at the entrance of the orphanage. Now I suddenly appeared and ruined her life after so many years. Serena looked into Charlie's eyes with sadness. Besides her, I can't think of anyone who wants me to die. Every shot was aimed at her. The bullet penetrated the French window and the chair. If it had hit her, she would probably be dead now. Everyone was afraid of death, especially Serena, who had already died once. After clearly seeing her fear and distrust, Charlie opened his mouth but did not say a word. The sound of high heels came close. He turned to look. A slender royal blue figure stopped behind him. That face was 80% similar to Serena's. As she looked at them, there was an unclear meaning in her eyes.